to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in, just imagine that you're breathing in a feeling of calm and relaxation. Breathing in that relaxation, and as you exhale, just imagine that tension and stress is leaving your body, taking you deeper and deeper relaxed with each and every breath. That's right. Continue to breathe in that feeling of relaxation. Notice the good feeling of relaxation going in through your nose, into your lungs. And imagine as you breathe out that the feeling changes, that you're exhaling things that you no longer need right now. Perhaps allow the tension around your neck and your shoulders or your face to be released and relax now, and feel that leaving your body in your outward breath. That's right. Taking you deeper and deeper relaxed with each and every breath. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine that deep within your unconscious mind is a control room. And I want you to imagine that the way we're going to get to that control room is by first imagining a relaxing place. Wherever has been the most relaxing place for you, I want you to imagine that place. And it could be a beach, a park, a garden, perhaps a comfortable place. But I want you to imagine somewhere outside that you've been relaxed. And imagine that you're there right now. Imagine that you're in that place, feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, breathing in fresh, clean air, feeling that your muscles and your whole body is loose and relaxed, taking you deeper and deeper relaxed with each and every breath. And bizarrely, I want you to imagine that there is a bed in this place outside. And there shouldn't be a bed there, but there is. It's a relaxing bed with comfortable duvets, sheets, a very comfortable mattress. And I want you to imagine climbing on top of the bed, feeling your head sinking into the pillow. And I want you to feel that in this relaxing place, resting upon this deeply relaxing bed, you can allow any tension in your muscles, in your body, to simply relax. Release that tension. Let go of any tension now, taking you deeper and deeper relaxed. And imagine, as I count down from 10 to 1, that your body is getting deeper and deeper relaxed by 10% with each descending number, that you can literally feel any remaining tension in your muscles, around your neck, your shoulders, to melt away. That's right, 10, feeling 10% deeper and deeper relaxed. 9, going deeper relaxed now, feeling that it's just leaving your body, breathing in relaxation, exhaling tension. 8, another 10%, 1/10, deeper and deeper relaxed, as you go feeling more and more comfortable. Feel the tension leaving your arms all the way down to your fingers. 7, another 10% deeper relaxed, and now 6, feeling like your arms are all loose and limp, almost like the limbs of a puppet without any strings. That's right, 6, and then 5, halfway there to the deepest feelings of relaxation, feeling it's easier to breathe deeper and more effortless. That's right, 4, another 10% deeper and deeper relaxed now. That's right, as you allow any unresourceful emotions to leave your body, breathing in a feeling of resourcefulness and exhaling anything that's getting in the way right now. 3, another 10% deeper relaxed, feeling that relaxation spread all the way into your legs, feeling perhaps a tingling sensation, maybe in your toes, maybe feeling that your legs are heavier or lighter than normal, but feeling deeply, deeply relaxed on this bed, in this relaxing place, connecting with that feeling of relaxation, because you know what it's like to really, truly, deeply relax now. 2, another 10% deeper relaxed as you feel even your internal organs start to relax. Your heart relaxes, your lungs relax, your stomach relaxes, your gut relaxes now. That's it. 1, and just feeling like you're about to drift off to sleep on this bed, in this relaxing place, and use the power of your imagination to dream. Dream that you're entering into a control room. This control room could almost look like the deck of a spaceship. And you've seen movies with spaceships where there is the captain's chair, there is a control panel, and just imagine that you're entering this place through a dream. Now, that's it, finally 10% deeper and deeper relaxed as you now imagine drifting off to sleep on that bed in that relaxing place, and now you're dreaming of being in a control room in a futuristic spaceship. And this control room represents how you control and react to your emotions. Really focus on your emotions. And I want you to imagine that the rules for this control panel are that only one emotion can be in control at any one point in time. But I want you to bring out the first emotion, which is your normal, regular emotional state, the emotional state that you're in most of the time. And I want you to imagine that that part is walking towards the control panel. And I want you to see a large screen in front of the control panel. And that when this part is in control, I want you to see on this large screen how you normally eat. And perhaps when you're in a normal, regular emotional state, notice that you eat when you're hungry. You eat when you're hungry, and you eat at meal times. And perhaps that's what you do most of the time. But you don't always eat that way. Perhaps when you're feeling intense emotions, maybe you eat in a way not because your body needs nutrition or energy or fuel, but perhaps there are certain occasions when certain emotions are in the captain's chair, in control. You make different decisions about what to eat and how much to eat. But just notice that this isn't how you feel most of the time. Most of the time, when you feel relaxed, when you feel calm, when you feel in control, the choices that you make about how you eat are good, healthy choices. You don't eat too much, but you eat just enough to satisfy feelings of hunger. That you perhaps sit down when you eat as part of a meal. And if you snack, perhaps you snack not through emotional reasons, but purely because your body is calling for more energy or fuel at that particular point in time. And I want you to connect with that part that is able to make great decisions about eating when you're in that neutral, regular, normal emotional state. That's right. Know that you are able to make these choices most of the time. But now I want you to imagine what it would be like if a different emotional resource was in control. And I want you to see this control panel. And I want you to see the normal, regular part walking away from the captain's chair, the control panel. And instead, I want you to see the part that represents stress walking towards the control panel. And perhaps this is represented by a physical character that looks stressed. Maybe you can see that through the facial expressions, through their tension. And I want you to step into that part that feels stressed, only temporarily, just to connect with the part of you that occasionally gets stressed. And then I want you to see on the screen in front of you what you do when it comes to eating when you feel stressed. Maybe there's a certain type of food that you tend to eat when you're feeling stressed. Maybe you notice that by eating when you're stressed, it's in a way that distracts you. See yourself on that screen as if you're someone else, like you're looking at someone else. Connect with the part that's feeling stressed and then see what you do when it comes to eating when you're stressed. What kind of foods do you eat? Where do you find the food? Do you open a cupboard or a fridge door? Do you go shopping? Do you open bags, containers? What do you do? How much do you eat? And are you doing that alongside something else, perhaps watching TV? Because if, when you're stressed, you eat in a way to distract you, I want you to realize that there are many different ways that you can distract yourself that doesn't involve food. I want you to connect with that feeling of stress and then change what you see on the screen so that you can distract yourself in different ways that don't involve food. Perhaps you do some exercise, maybe go for a walk, maybe listen to some music. See all the possible different ways that you can distract yourself or manage the stress that doesn't involve food. It's often been said that stress is when people feel overwhelmed, that they don't have the resources to deal with all the demands, all the pressures they have to deal with. And just notice that eating doesn't help to make you either feel more resourceful or reduce the demands. All it does is distract your attention temporarily. And after you've eaten, you realize that you still have the same demands, the same pressures, which can encourage people to then eat again, to distract themselves temporarily. And that can create a cycle of continued binge eating. So now, as you connect with that feeling of stress, but look at the screen, see all the different ways that you can either distract yourself or to make yourself feel more resourceful. Because sometimes doing something that changes your physiology, going for a run, a walk, stretching, breathing deeply, meditating, see all the different ways that you can change how you feel through what you do rather than what you eat. And notice that at least one of these will actually help you deal with the stress much more effectively than eating. And the moment that you connect with a strategy, an alternative behavior that helps you deal with the stress in a more effective way, then I want you to imagine stepping into that behavior. So you're seeing and experiencing the behavior as if you're living that behavior. You're no longer on the control panel, you're stepping into the experience. Imagine doing that thing. And as you do that thing, notice that the feeling of stress reduces. That's right. Once your unconscious mind connects with an alternative behavior that reduces stress and yet doesn't involve eating, that increased awareness of what it means to reduce the stress, feel more in control, feel more resourceful, works better than eating as a temporary distraction. That's right. And now jump back into the control panel and then seeing the screen. So the next time you connect with stress, you will move away from eating towards this new behavior that helps you deal with the stress more effectively. And now it's time for stress to leave the control panel. And now I want anxiety to walk toward the control panel. See anxiety, see that anxious face in this character that is now in control. I want you to step into that character and feel where anxiety is located for you. Where most people feel stress around the head or the neck, perhaps anxiety is more in the gut or the heart. Connect with that feeling of anxiety, and then on that screen in front of you, see what you do when you are anxious. What kind of foods do you eat when you're anxious? For many people, by eating food, it changes their focus, their attention, away from the cause or the thoughts of the anxiety into a different feeling. And for many people, the feeling of anxiety is around the stomach or around the gut. And by eating, it shifts the focus into a different feeling. Your body changes when you eat. And as you see what you eat when you're anxious, perhaps it's the same as when you're stressed, but what if it's something different? What if it's different types of food? What if it's different amounts of food in different locations? Become very aware of what you do when it comes to eating when you're feeling anxious. And see whether that actually helps in the long term, or is it just a temporary coping mechanism? And when you realize that perhaps it doesn't get to the root cause of the anxiety, it just changes how you feel temporarily, become aware of the long-term consequences of this emotional eating. Because what if the emotional eating around anxiety can undo a whole week of eating healthy? And then you have the feeling of perhaps guilt afterwards, when you realize how much you've eaten to cope with the anxiety. That can then make you feel guilty or stressed or anxious, and then the cycle continues. But what if there were alternative things that you could do to deal with that anxiety? See yourself on that screen now as if you're someone else in front of you, coping with anxiety in different ways. Because anxiety could be perceived to be some type of signpost, some kind of trigger to enable you to make different choices. Worry is a type of anxiety, and worry is often said to be a clue to help you prepare for the future differently. So what if instead of eating, you actually did the preparation necessary to reduce that worry? Or maybe you just change your emotional state by getting some fresh air, doing something active. Or what if you got those worries or anxieties out of your head and maybe wrote them down in a journal, able to evaluate them in a very pragmatic way? But whatever comes to mind on that screen, see yourself successfully dealing with anxiety in ways that don't involve food. And notice that these other ways actually do cope with anxiety, whereas the food is just managing the symptoms of anxiety, not getting to the root cause. Perhaps you can see yourself just drinking some water, maybe just moving around, having a stretch. Notice that these things help with the anxiety more than eating. Connect into that experience, whatever works best for you that you see on screen, step into that, see it through your own eyes. Imagine doing that and notice that the anxiety reduces. And as the anxiety reduces, connect with this as a natural thing to do instead of the eating. And then jump back into that control panel and allow anxiety to go away. And now I want you to see sadness arrive at the control panel. You can see that sad face, the slowness of how they move. I want you to temporarily connect into that feeling of sadness. Notice where it's located for you. Perhaps notice that your energy drops when you feel sad. But what I want you to do is to see on that screen in front of you what you tend to do when you're sad. Is it different foods, perhaps sweeter foods? Maybe different types of foods, maybe in different locations. When you're sad, do you eat fast or slow? Are you also distracting yourself by doing something else? Become very aware of what you do when it comes to eating when you're sad. And notice, even though this might be an unconscious reaction, notice that you can always take control. When people drive, particularly journeys that they've done many times, it's possible for them to drive the car almost entirely on autopilot, almost like they're not the ones driving the car. But whenever they need to, they can always make new decisions about how to drive. Maybe they take a different route. Maybe they change lane or go faster or slower. That even things that you tend to do on autopilot, there is always the ability to take back control. And I want you to see on that screen what you do when you eat when you're sad. But increase the time frame to see if it actually works. For most people, when they eat when they're sad, it's just about connection. That they're giving themselves love through food. But that's not true love. That is simply gratification. It's a feeling of connection that is fleeting, temporary. But what could you do to really give yourself that feeling of connection? That feeling of love and value and worth. See yourself on screen now doing all these other things that would make you happier. And that might be looking at photos with really powerful positive memories. Maybe finding a comedy, movie or TV show to change your state by connecting with that part that loves to laugh and smile. Maybe rather than connecting with yourself through food, you can reach out to a friend or family member. And that might be a conversation or a message through chat. But notice that real human connection satisfies sadness much more effectively than food. And as you see that on the screen, connect into that feeling, climb into that experience, see it through your own eyes of what it would be like to connect either with other people or yourself in a genuine way that makes you feel happier. The sadness is replaced with a smile, and food wasn't required to access this positive and resourceful state. And once your unconscious accepts that there are many, many other ways to deal with sadness that are much more effective than eating, then it's time for sadness to leave the control room. And instead, I want anger to enter the control room. Sometimes when people feel frustrated or angry, they eat. And they eat because it works temporarily. Connect with that feeling of frustration or anger and then see on screen all the things that you do when you're angry when it comes to food. Maybe you drink certain drinks, maybe you eat. But notice that you do it in a different way to sadness. When people are sad, they tend to eat slow, but for long periods of time. When people are anxious or stressed, they tend to eat faster. But when you're angry, notice the speed at which you eat. Are you really tasting the food, or are you just guzzling it down? Are you doing it alone, or are you doing it around other people? Become highly aware of what you do when it comes to eating or drinking when you're angry. And anger often means that Something important to you has been violated. You're not understood. You're not respected. Become aware that maybe there are opportunities to learn from that experience. That maybe it means that a decision needs to be made. Maybe it means that you need to evaluate your boundaries, your standards in a different way. And I want you to now see on screen what it would mean to deal with frustration and anger in a way that doesn't involve food. Perhaps you can see yourself on screen making a decision, raising your standards, fixing a problem. Or perhaps it's just changing your physiological state, going for a walk, a run, a bath, a stretch, and see that all these things deal with anger much more effectively than food. That's right. And as you connect with these better and more useful strategies, you're able to realize that you now have choices, options, that it isn't a given that because you're angry you have to eat. You can choose to eat, but then you have to accept the consequences of emotionally eating through anger. Perhaps you don't like how that influences your body weight or your confidence. Perhaps you don't like how you feel afterwards when you've eaten all this through food, through emotional eating. Perhaps you feel sad or guilty because of what you've done. And realize that you have choices, that there are so many things that you can do to distract yourself, to cope, to change how you feel, to change how you breathe. When people are angry, they breathe rapidly from their chest. And notice that just by breathing slowly, lower than the chest in the diaphragm, anger can disappear much more quickly than if you were eating. Connect into one of these strategies that you like best as a way to cope with anger. And when you're confident that that is a better choice and that you have so many choices, notice that that becomes the intuitive, natural thing to do. And now allow anger to leave the room. And as anger leaves the room, I want boredom to enter the room, and you can tell it's boredom by how they move, how they walk, their facial expressions. See them come in and then step into that version of you. Connect with the feeling of being just completely bored. And notice that because there are pleasurable emotions connected to food, that it does help. It does help satisfy boredom, but at a cost. And maybe the cost is the excess energy turns into body fat, and that excess body fat changes your body shape, and that new body shape changes your confidence, your self-esteem, your energy levels, your sleeping patterns. Because one of the things that genuinely helps with boredom is stimulation and variety. See what you do on that screen in front of you. What do you eat? What do you do when you're bored? And maybe you look for different foods, maybe different tastes. Maybe the food is trying to give you the stimulation and the variety that you need. But what if there were so many other ways that you can get that stimulation and variety in your life without needing it to come from the food? Imagine now on screen that you can see all the different ways that you can do that would stimulate you. Doing something new, playing a game. Perhaps experiencing something that you just really enjoy, that gets you thinking, or offers a challenge, either intellectually or emotionally. Notice that there are so many ways that you can stimulate yourself that don't involve just stimulating your taste buds. And now see on screen all the variety that is possible in your life. all the choices that you could make, because you could choose what food you're going to eat next. But think about all the things that you could do, a new goal that you can set, a new language that you can learn, a new exercise that you can try, walking to a place that you've never walked before. Or if it does have to be variety through food, what if the variety could come from a new type of fruit that you've just never tasted before? That would also stimulate your taste buds, give you a new experience, offer variety, but in a way that gives you nutrition, a sense of empowerment, and lays the framework for new habits that could transform your life and your future. Because the antidote to boredom is excitement, and excitement often exists outside of routine and outside of the comfort zone. See yourself on screen now doing something new, something different, something that improves your life rather than takes your life in a direction that you don't want it to go. And when you see something that inspires you, step into that experience and feel that good feeling of excitement and stimulation and variety, and realize that this feels so much better than whatever food you've been eating has been tasting like. Because there are so many ways in which you can influence your emotional states, and food and drink are just one of the ways. And they're not even the best way. They're just a way. Notice that you have more control as to how you evaluate your emotions, and become increasingly self-aware as to what you do when you're in these emotional states. And perhaps whether it's now or in the future, you may find yourself reflecting on whether or not these things are the only thing that you can do. Or perhaps there are so many different options. Choice creates variety, and variety is the antidote to boredom. Eating is a coping mechanism for undesirable emotions, but so are decisions, so is movement, so are choices, and so is connection. And I want you to, as boredom now leaves the room, find that neutral part, back in control. And that neutral part now has access to all this different wisdom, ideas, strategies about all the different ways in which you can handle emotions in a new way, rather than dealing with the symptoms, the temporary feeling of the emotion. What if you got to the root cause of the emotion? What new choices, decisions, or goals do you need in your life to immediately get to the root of these problems, so that these undesirable emotions are less frequent, and when they do come up, you've got so many different choices and ways to handle them that don't involve food and drink. When your unconscious mind connects with these feelings of choice, options, and that the future is a version of you where your emotions don't dictate what you do, but just prompt you to make the best choice you can with all the different options available. And as you connect with that future, notice that what you lose in emotional eating, you gain in emotional experiences. A sense of being in control, fulfillment, and growth. And it's time to leave this control room, and I want you to find yourself back in that comfortable bed, in that relaxing place. But take all of this knowledge, wisdom, resourceful feelings with you. Connect with this idea that the future involves more useful choices. And then realize that this bed in this relaxing place is just a figment of your own imagination, and actually you're exactly where you are right now, Feel connected in your own physical body. Feel as you breathe in through your nose that it's your nose, and feel the breath in your lungs, and hear my voice connect with you in the present, in your own body. Connect with all of these resourceful, positive emotions, and realize that you have so many choices about how to handle not just stress, anxiety, sadness, anger, and boredom, but every emotion. Every emotion is an opportunity for you to either be a victim or in control, and to use these emotions to steer your life in ever more powerful, positive, and useful ways. In a few moments' time, I will count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, and you will awaken with a feeling of positivity, resourcefulness, but most importantly, choice. That you have the choice as to what you do when you feel any emotion. Starting to count to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.